I totally get what you're saying here, but I think we use Feyre and Rhysand as like the bar that we measure all the other mated couples to. Like they're the constant to which we compare any other mated couple. But personally, I feel like this isn't entirely fair to Feysand or the other couples because Feysand has a thing that none of the other mated couples do. Both of them are mind readers, and that plays a huge, huge part in their mating bond and in their love story. So the first time Rhysand has an inkling of Feyre's existence is when he's under the mountain with Amarantha and he starts having dreams about a girl in the human lands. And they consume, like, that's like the one happy thing going on in his life because his life with Amarantha is just so fucking horrible. And it's those dreams and those visions of her that allow him to know what she looks like when he's like, I need to see you like just once. I don't even need to know your name. I just need to look at you and know that you're real. And then I could go back to my horrible ass existence. He wouldn't have known to look for Feyre. He wouldn't have known any of that had there not been this level of mind reading that Rhysand has that the other mated males and main male love interests don't have. And Feyre, for her part, is the only mind reading female main character that we've gotten in the entire Sarah J. Maas universe so far. So the barometer for mating bond magic is different for Feyre and Rhysand because Feyre and Rhysand have this added means of communication. And it is that added means of communication that allows Rhysand to know that Feyre really doesn't want to marry Tamlin, that he's got to get her out of there very, very quickly, or else she's going to be stuck marrying this dude with red petals everywhere, like completely triggered. So while I do think that Feysand is a good barometer for mating behavior in some ways, I think when it comes to the level of awareness that mated couples have of each other, especially human fae pairings before the human party becomes fae, Rhysand and Feyre aren't a good barometer of that because they also have the mind reading element. Nesta and Cassian don't have the mind reading element, and Lord knows they both could have used it. As a sidebar, the amount of times where Nesta and Cassian were thinking the same thing, but were unable to see those thoughts in the behavior and in the face and in the manner of the other person, I'm just like, God, where's the Feysand mind reading thing when you need it, man? This is so far as to say that Feysand, Feyre, and Rhysand, during their mating courtship, they're operating under slightly different rules than Nesta and Cassian do, or that Elaine and Lucien do, in that they are mind readers and that there's that added level of communication that Rhysand is able to send Feyre visions of Valaris, and Lucien and Cassian aren't able to do that kind of thing for their mates. Therefore, there is more room for misunderstanding. That being said, though, I do think that the human Fae mating bond is not nearly as strong as the Fae mating bond because Feyre doesn't clock Rhysand at all until it's like the Suriel has to tell her that they're mates. Like it's a completely different scenario. And Cassian has like an itty bitty inkling that they're mates when Nesta's human, but mostly he's just overwhelmed by like the sheer chemistry. Like I don't think he's thinking about Nesta as a mate until later on in A Court of Wings and Ruin when he has that moment where he just kind of like stops and stares at her, and then he's like, next time Nesta, like I'll remember to say hello. I don't remember where that is in Akawar, but I do know that is the moment where the bond snaps for Cassian, which means that he goes at least a book and a half not knowing a thing about his mate. And Lucien doesn't even clock Elaine as his mate at all until Elaine gets spilled out of the cauldron as a full fae. So yeah, long story short, Rhysand is able to send that vision of Valaris to Feyre and the music to Feyre. I'm going to be real. I think the music is kind of a retconning cop-out because Rhysand is never, ever, ever associated with music, and Tamlin always is. So I feel like that music was Tamlin until Akamath became the sequel, and then it had to be retconned to Rhysand. But that's another conversation for another day. But when Rhysand sends her the vision of Valaris, when he is talking to her, he's not talking through the mating bond. He's talking through the mind reading thing that both he and Feyre have, which is why they're constantly like having mind reading conversations. That is personally what I think, though. If somebody has an idea of the mind reading link between Feyre and Rhysand being the actual mating bond, I would like to know about it.